Welcome to Morning Infusion with Dr. V. Can you imagine going from a size 22 to a size 8? Well, my name is Dr. Viola Pierce. I am the owner and the CEO of VP Nursing and the Nurse Nurturer and the facilitators of Secret Suppers Worldwide with Dr. V, where our goal is to teach nurses to leverage the knowledge that they already know working from their computers around the world, creating generational wealth and owning their own time. Our goal is to come to you each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to give you the fuel to crush your goals and to show up exceptional on a daily basis. Know that one of the goals of Morning Infusion with Dr. V is to expose you to leaders that have overcome so that you know that the possibilities are endless. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment if you were ever told that you would not succeed. And remember to click the calendar link above if you want to create another stream of income and enroll in our 12-week course, VP Nursing Business Academy. Our special guest today is Esther Graham, my friend, my love. For over 20 years, Esther Graham has served as a professor, mentor, and motivator. She is also a certified neurotransformational coach. She is a successful entrepreneur as well as a teacher, trainer, minister, administrator, consultant, and transformational speaker who demonstrates the true love of God, people, and their success in life. With over 30 years of experience in education, Esther truly is a trainer at heart and has put that know-how to work both nationally and internationally. Born in Guyana, South America, she has lived, traveled, and trained in various places around the world. Esther is a #1 national and international best-selling author of Why? Stepping into Purpose. Esther has also published 2 compilations titled From Trials to Triumph, Volume 1 and 2, co-author of Our Issues is His Virtue. Over the years, she has spoken at faith-based and professional conferences in the U.S. and overseas. So thank you for joining us this morning. I'm super excited.
To be here. So thank you for inviting me. It's an honor.
Well, thank you. So you spent most of your life as an educator. So
Yeah.
what prompted you to take this route into your professional journey?
That's a really good question, because while I spent the majority of my life, my career as an educator, I've always coached my students, as a minister, as a pastor, you're working with your parishioners, and so I did a lot of coaching and mentoring of students and of teachers and other professionals. And so while I was in education, I've always been pivoting. What I decided to do is that I just have a passion for coaching and for seeing people be successful in every area of their life. And I just made a decision. This was something I just wanted to do as, let's just say, the second part of my life and my career,
I love it. And one of the things that is just, without we wouldn't be where we are without teachers. So if you're a teacher and you're listening, drop your name in the chat, because we want to hear from you for sure, because we love our teachers. We love what they do. It is an amazing profession, and they don't get nearly as much recognition. Now, along the way, you lost a great deal of weight. What was the reasoning that you decided that it was time to get the weight off?
Well, let's see. This was about 10 years ago. 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, or let's say 9, I was 49 years old, and I was overweight, and I was beginning not to feel well. And I remember I was sitting in church one Sunday morning, and I was struggling to stand up. And I thought, God, this isn't the life for me. It's just not the life for me. My knees were bothering me. I went to the doctor, and the doctor said that every pound that you weigh is 4 pounds on your knees.
Wow.
4 pounds. And so to me, that explained why I struggled with getting up. And I just felt, you know what? God said that He wants us to be in good health and prosper. And so for me to continue in my career and really pursue my passion, I needed to be healthy. For me to, whenever at the time I didn't have grand loves, I wanted to be able to move and go with them and to hang out even with my adult children. And so I will never forget January 1st, 10 years ago, I began that weight loss journey. And I set a goal because I was going to be 50.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm going to lose 50 pounds.
Okay.
And I lost 60 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And so I've not gone back to that size. And of course, since then my weight has fluctuated, but I've not gone back to that size. Have gone up to a 12 right now, but now I'm anywhere between a 10 and 12. So it's just been amazing. It's been just an amazing journey. And what happened was, Viola, I began just to watch everything I eat. I really changed my eating habits.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. That's
Yeah.
what you got to do. I think a lot of people think that, and I was one who thought that I could exercise, 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 and then I would be good. But the reality is that you have to eat. The eating is 80% of it and exercise is 20% of it.
Yes,
And,
yes,
and
yes.
it's huge, huge, huge. So I'm super excited that you were able to do that. And I think that what you were talking about, because you're a pastor's wife, one of the things that we think, and I've seen people who come in and say, well, God's going to heal me. Well, God gives you these tools, right, in order to heal you, in order to help heal you.
And
And you have to do the work. You can have the faith that God's going to heal you, but you have to do the work in order to make sure faith without works is dead. And so you have to
yes.
really, really work
Mhm.
that thing in order to be able to get that weight off and, be there to do the things. I think of the guy in the boat, right? And he was in the boat, and God sent all these people to rescue him, and then he gets up to heaven and he's upset with God because he's like, well, you said that you were going to save me. And he expected it to come in, God to just come up and I guess lift him up out of the boat and take him back to where he needed to be. And that's not the way. And so, the journey to get there, the goal is set. The journey to get there sometimes is a curve, and you have to take those curves.
You do. And it's a mindset shift.
That's right.
You said faith without works is dead. And I think the first thing that has to happen is that we have to shift our mindset. And for me, that's what I had to do. I had to shift my mindset and get the reality. I can do this. I can release the weight, because that what I've learned recently in the past 2-3 years is when I lose the weight, I could find it again. Right? I learned that from Lisa Nichols. But when I release the weight, I've released it. It's gone. Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So
Been good.
a mindset shift, change the words that you use and it changes your mindset. So it's wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, I'm gonna release some weight over this next month. I'm releasing it. Now,
As I told you earlier, I just released 11 pounds.
you better do it. You better do it.
Yeah, watching what I eat. Going back to I have an indicator in my body. Okay, Esther, pull it back. And so after the holidays, it's always like, pull it back.
My indicator is when I pull my pants up and it's like, whoo, that's my indicator right now.
That's a good indicator too.
So what are some of the things that you learned about yourself in the journey of weight loss?
I learned that I feel really good about who I am in my journey. I learned that once I put my mind to accomplish something, there's no stopping me. There's absolutely no stopping me. And that's why I said it takes a mindset change. What I also learned is that I like how I move and I flow. It's just easier for me to get around. And the feeling that you have on the inside, not just with confidence or how you feel about who you are, but I mean that physical feeling of your body just feeling healthy.
That's right.
It's amazing.
It is.
amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
That's for sure. And, one of the things that, in business, you have to be very, that is one of the things, that is one of the foundational things in nursing and in business, right? Because you have to, as Maslow's hierarchy, at the basis of Maslow's hierarchy is your physiological being. And so if you can't get that straight, then a lot of times it's really, really hard to reach up to that area of self-actualization for
Yes,
everyone.
that's right.
So I'm loving that. So now you are a preacher's wife, which can be hard at times because of the spotlight is always on you and people think that you are perfect. What are some of the ways that you navigate that and show up imperfectly perfect?
Some of the ways I navigate that. Well, I will tell you that some of the ways I navigate that is through prayer. That's a definite. I mean, listen, sometimes you just got to stay on your knees, you know. Um, but what I found is that staying on my knees, definitely being prayerful. I've always been a very transparent person, right? I've always been very transparent, and quite frankly, I will speak what's on my mind. The first thing I am is a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was
Before.
anything else,
That's
as
right.
a human being, my parents named me Esther, right? That's who I was first. And so I have to navigate that, and I have to make sure that parishioners know that I am Esther first before I'm anything else. This is who I am. And so I am going to make mistakes just as you're going to make mistakes. And so just as I have to give you the grace and ease for mistakes, you need to give me the grace and ease for that as well. And so we have a saying in our church, this is a no judgment zone. And so the no judgment that you receive, the no judgment I receive as well. And so that's really how I have to navigate. And it's not very easy sometimes because people will always place you into a category, but I refuse to allow people to place me in a category that I don't belong in.
I love it. I
You know,
love it. And I love that the fact that you are transparent, right? Because the reality is that, if I'm transparent and if I tell you first, then, you don't have the chance to tell them something that you think that is a vice for me, right? And
Mhm.
understanding that I have to forgive myself first. The inner work that I do is most important because I can't pour from an empty cup. I have to make sure that I fill my cup up. I need to make sure that I'm okay with me and that however you feel about me is extra, right?
It is.
Period.
It really is. And so, a part of that is that, I did a lot of course, spiritual development, but I also did a lot of personal development. The two go together in order for me, yeah, to do that inner work that you're speaking of. It's a spiritual inner work and it's a personal development inner work that is really necessary for you to do to navigate
That
your
area.
in that area, because that's a thin line. Yeah,
Hmm.
very much so, very much so.
You are now an entrepreneur. What are some of the reasons that you decided that this would be the journey as opposed to working for someone else?
Oh gosh. Well, my mom transitioned in July, and before she transitioned, I really began to think about my path as an entrepreneur. And I realized that I'm my mother's daughter. And so my father was a pastor, and my mother, all of her life, has been an entrepreneur as an educator. And so she's owned, I think, a total of 5 early learning centers to include elementary schools, all private at different points in her life. She was a baker, she was a seamstress, and so she was always an entrepreneur. So I just automatically, I feel, get that spirit from her. I started off about 11, 12 years ago as a parallelpreneur. I still worked as an educator, and then I started my first business. And then, of course, 1 year later, I went into it 100% fully. That journey, I think my journey started from what was embedded in me as from my mother. And I love doing it because I love planning my own time. I
I,
control my own time. And so going into entrepreneur allowed me to also to go into 100% ministry, and then of course pivoting and saying, you know what, I'm going to go deeper, dive deeper. I'm going to go get, do some more personal development, do some more spiritual development, get my coaching certification, my neuro transformational coaching, and do all of these things. Being an entrepreneur really allows you the freedom
Mhm.
of living
Mhm.
your life in
That's right.
every area. And so I love it. I absolutely love it. So I've been an entrepreneur now for over, I think now it's over 12 years. So I believe I left my job about 13 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And and it's so important because I think that so many people really don't understand that whole concept of, owning your own time. And I remember having to go into the emergency department and really having to work overtime in order to, maintain, right? And the reality is that, if I'd have known what I know now, I wouldn't have went in there for those extra hours. What I would have done is I would have been building at that time. And it's
Mhm.
so important to build. That's one thing. The second thing is that when you are your mother, how she showed you who you were, right? Who
Mhm.
she was, right? Because the apple don't fall far from the tree. And so I think that as parents, we have to understand that who we are as parents, our children get that. They're looking very different now because my children are, one of them is a millennial, and I don't forget what it is after millennials, but whatever that
Gen Z, I think.
is.
Oh,
It Gen Z. Okay, so Gen Z. So actually, I think both of them are Gen Zs. I think my daughter, because she's 24 now. I don't know.
mm,
Anyway, the deal is that she and my son, and all of our children, our 5 children, they are seeing where we are, and
yeah,
they're forming their own paths based on where we are. We have 2 sons who are, one who's a photographer and one who's a videographer. My daughter is an esthetician. Just they're forming their own paths
yeah,
based on what they see from us,
exactly.
right? And because we don't want them to have that, what people call modern day slavery, right? I mean, be able to pivot, move into your own space. That is super, super important.
It's great that you're saying that, and we're talking to nurses. My doctor. So I've got 3 children, one bonus daughter that we spiritually adopted, right? And so, but our oldest son is an entrepreneur. But what's interesting with what you're saying is that, as you know, my daughter graduated from med school, so she's going into residency. So there's a lapse of time with the corona and all of these things going on. She's working, but in the middle of all of this, from graduation to when beginning residency, her and my other daughter began their own business. They started their own business. Yeah, isn't that phenomenal? And
Uh-huh.
so they designed inspirational clothing.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to buy something for
Yes,
them. We're gonna have a conversation.
yes, it's awesome. It's wonderful. And I looked at how they pivot, and I looked at how they began to attend sessions, and they would ask me questions, and they just began, and they've got this whole online business now. And it's just great. So no matter what you're doing, you have to pivot and become an entrepreneur. It's never too late and it's never too early.
Right.
It's
And you can do it as a parallelpreneur.
as
That's it. And
parallelpreneur.
you really want to, because you can leverage the taxes,
Yes.
the tax breaks that you get as an entrepreneur. I mean, that's what you really, really want to do.
That's
But,
what you
you
really want.
know,
Yes.
you
Yes.
will. So now, what is some advice you would give someone who is new to being an entrepreneur?
So the first thing I would, say is, what's your passion? And so discover what your passion is and pursue that. That will take some unlearning, because we've got several passions. But what's that passion? What's that thing you go to bed and you wake up thinking about? This is what, and when you walk out and you see something, you say, "Oh, I could fix that." I could see that, and you can see it. Right away. Then what you want to do is really count the cost. And when I say count the cost, I mean not just financially, but count the cost for you.
Hmm.
What is it going to cost you in time? And what is it going to cost you if you don't pursue
That's
it?
right. That's right.
Count
That's
that.
right. That's right. Les Brown talks about, the graveyard is the richest place on earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of, all the books, all the things that are there, people just didn't do because they were too scared to do it, right?
They're too,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So now who is someone that is an entrepreneur that has influenced your life, and why was their journey or word so impactful for you?
My mother for sure. Um,
Gotcha.
my mother for sure. The amazing thing about that is that I didn't realize how much she influenced my life. I interviewed her before she really took a turn. Yeah, and I recorded her interviewing, and she could hardly talk,
Oh,
and she's on her bed, and I began just to ask her different questions. So that's going to be a book coming out. It was just the most impactful,
mm,
revealing thing to me. To listen her life as an entrepreneur, her life as a pastor's wife, and how she navigated the two, and how successful she was. She, wherever my mother went, that she opened up a business. Wherever she went, she lived
wow.
in Missouri, she had two. She lived in New York, she had two.
Wow.
She, wherever she went, she lived. No, I'm sorry, in Missouri, she had three.
Wow.
And so listen, so that's the most impactful person. And then of course, I've looked at Lisa Nichols and I've looked at Susie Carter's, who are both my coaches, right? I've looked at my husband, who when he retired from the military went into real estate and has stuck with as an entrepreneur, building up his business. All of that were examples. There are some things that when I first jumped into entrepreneur, I would say, even when I was working in my field, I would say to my husband, "Why are you doing this?" And he'd say, "Well, Esther, you have to spend money to make money.
That's
Esther."
right.
And I couldn't understand all of that until I began to go into it myself, right? And began to look at all of these examples. And even my mother, who says, even back in the day in Guyana, South America, owned her own private school and her own, would bake and sell and do all these things. My grandmother, who also on my father's side, who also had her own business, always
Wow.
amazing. So that's where my entrepreneurial journey has really influenced me. When I get discouraged, I think about these people and I look at what they've done. In modern time, I look at my husband, I look at Lisa Nichols, and I look at Susie Carter. And
Ah,
more. So yeah,
I
that's
love it.
that's
Yeah,
my journey and that's what I do.
yeah, they are amazing for
They are
sure.
for
For
sure.
sure.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. And Dr. V, when I was looking at pivoting and I thought something was missing in my life, it was God that directed me to Lisa Nichols campus. And it's God that directed me to Susie Carter. And it's amazing how when you have a heart and you say, I want to take my business to the next level and I need to up level it, how he will just lead and guide you towards that. You
That's
can
right.
always do it.
That's right. That's right. For sure. For sure. So I love that. I love that. So now what are some of the books that you have read that have positively impacted you on the journey into being your own boss?
My own boss. So there's a book. I tried to find it the other day, and it's written by this guy. He's a tech person. He's been in a Fortune 500, African American. He wrote a book on building business God's way. It's an
Ah,
awesome book. I'll have to get you that information. Wonderful book. So that's one of the books I read. The other book, I love to read books like Take the Limits Off of God, right? Those are books and where while they're books that really are based on business principles.
mm-hmm,
That,
mm-hmm.
that how what you set your mind to do, you can do it. Books like Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits of highly
Successful.
exceptional people or successful people. Those are the books that I love to read. So I read two types of book. I'll read the business development book.
Uh-huh.
First is an excellent book that Lisa Nichols recommended. I've read that. Excellent book for you to read. And then I've also loved reading personal development books and spiritual development books. All of those books help me in my business because I'm a firm believer that unless you are personally developed and sound, okay,
You can't develop nobody else.
you can't develop nobody. You don't even succeed well in business because you're all messed up in your head and your heart. You understand what I
I've
mean?
seen it. I've seen
Yeah.
it so many times where people come in and they look the part, but
Yeah.
are not. They don't do the work. You have to do that
You
inner
have
work
to do the inner work. You have to.
in order to be successful, for sure, for sure. So now you will be having a soiree in March. Now tell the audience all about it and where can they purchase tickets?
Okay. So the soiree is this year is during International Women's Day. It's called Festa Della Donna soiree. So Festa Della Donna is the Italian for International Women's Day. And as we all know, International Women's Day is March 8th. And I always do a big celebration and in women empowerment during that time because March is Women Empowerment Month. Right.
Right.
So the soiree is this year, March 6th. It's only one night this year. And it's a very small event because of course, the pandemic. You know, we're following every single COVID guidelines. So I like to tell people it is not a super spreader. It's very small. But I felt as if we still needed to get out and we need to see each other and we need to fist bump each other and we need to be empowered, and we need to be celebrated. And so it is still being held in Wilmington at the riverfront. You can get tickets by going to EV Graham. I believe it's EV Graham. I'll have to put it in the link. EV Graham /ClickFunnels/soiree. Right. And
Okay.
you can purchase your tickets there. And we'll put that in the link for you to be able to purchase your tickets. So, but come out and spend one night. And of course, we have a wonderful special guest. I will be speaking, but of course, my special guest is Dr. V. So I'm so excited to bring her to my community. So I want to encourage you, if you're in the area, come out and join us for it's Saturday night from 6 to 10. Again, it's very small, so seats are very limited.
Limited.
We are about to shut it down. So if you're going to get your tickets, you want to make sure that you get them right now.
So now March 6th, 2021. Now and for us North Carolinians, okay, it is in Wilmington, Delaware. It
Oh,
is
yes. Wilmington, Delaware.
not
Not
Wilmington, North Carolina.
no. But I will tell you though, I am having the Phenomenal Women's Retreat for Festa Della Donna March 16th to the 21st, really the 17th to the 21st, where we're telling everybody, hey, come on in on the 16th. And that's in the Outer Banks, North Carolina. But it's again small. We only have 2 spots left. So
Yes. And it is, I mean, the pictures are amazing, amazing. So you go ahead and get your tickets now because it's going to be a phenomenal, phenomenal event.
and again, social distancing, mask, y'all, doing it up. Because why? Because the one thing is that we are safe. We are
That's
going to
right.
be safe. We have that's coming to the retreat. We've got doctors, we've got health professionals, we've got everyone. We all want to be safe. So we've taken everything. So, but come on out and join me.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait. I can't wait. So, thank you, Esther, for joining me. I love you. And you are just an amazing person, in my opinion. And so I'm super excited that we were able to link up through Susie Carter's camp. And so everything is phenomenal. So my name is Dr. Viola Pierce. I'm the owner and the CEO of VP Nursing and the Nurse Nurturer and the facilitators of Secret Suppers Worldwide with Dr. V, where our goal is to teach nurses to leverage the knowledge that they already know, working from their computers anywhere around the world, creating generational wealth and owning their own time. Our goal is to come to you each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to give you the fuel to crush your goals to show up exceptional on a daily basis. Know that one of our goals on Morning Infusion with Dr. V is to expose you to leaders such as Esther that have overcome so that you know that the possibilities are endless. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment if you were ever told that you would not succeed. And remember to click the calendar link above if you want to create another stream of income and enroll in our 12-week course, VP Nursing Business Academy. You guys have a phenomenal day.